This is Christopher John Bjerknes. It is April 21st, 2025, the day that the Marxist Jesuit Pope Francis passed away, very fortuitously, the day after Easter, the day after the end of Passover, after the Paschal Lamb has been consumed. I've been saying for quite some time that Cardinal Raymond Burke is a very likely candidate to become the next pope. Should he be elected, he will represent the restoration of the Latin Mass and the return of the Roman Catholic Church to its traditional Roman roots. Roman representing the Edomite, Amalekite Rome of the West, in particular of America. He is a traditional Catholic, which fits in with the whole scheme of boosting this idea of Catholic Christian nationalism in the United States. He was affiliated with the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, the Knights of Malta, the Crusader Order, Crusaders against Islam. That fits right in with the planned wars against Islam, the wars between the Christian Leviathan, Roman Catholic West, the Leviathan of America being pitted against the behemoth of Islam and Marxism in China and Russia. So that fits right in with the neocon agenda of Donald Trump, the restoration of the neocons, the restoration of Roman Edomite West. As I was the first to point out, Elon Musk and Trump are portraying all kinds of Roman imagery. Elon Musk calling himself Cecius Maximus, and as I was the first to point out, talking about the decline and fall of the Roman Empire and portraying America as the resurgence of the Roman Empire. And as I was the first to point out, Donald Trump with his Saturnalia festival and golden age of Saturn at the inauguration. All of this imagery is portraying America as the restoration of Rome, the Gilgul, the reincarnation of Rome. We are now in the age of Aquarius, or entering into the age of Aquarius, and the scheme of Judaism is that all of these ages are a cycle with a beginning and an end. And the beginning of the age of Pisces was ushered in with the emergence and birth of Jesus Christ, the destruction of the Second Temple, and the exile of the Jewish people into the diaspora, into Rome. Rome represents Europeans, white people in particular, Americans now. And I have been saying that Cardinal Raymond Burke is a very likely candidate to become the next pope. And he fits in with this whole scheme, this agenda of creating Catholic Christian nationalism in America, restoring the Roman Catholic Church to its traditional roots with the Latin Mass, Latin as the language of the Romans. And also with this agenda of crusaders against Islam. As a Knight of Malta, he will be a perfect scapegoat for all the things that Jews in Israel are doing, because the paid influencers and the conspiracy fraud crowd are going to say that it's the Knights of Malta who want to create a world government and take over the world, and he will fit right in with that as the scapegoat for all the things that Netanyahu and the Israelis and Donald Trump do to bring the world into world war, to have the battle of Gog and Magog between the Leviathan of the Atlanticist west, of the Edomite Amalekite Romans, and the behemoth of the Muslims and the Marxists, of the Middle East, of China, of Russia, and of the global South, pitting us all against each other so that we mutually consume each other and leave the Jews standing in Judea as sole heirs to the world to come. Olam haba. So I think he would be a perfect fit for this agenda. And I've been saying that for quite some time. And again, I think it's very interesting that just after meeting with Vance, whose wife is a Hindu representing the world of chaos, Pope Francis passes away immediately after Easter, immediately after Passover, immediately after the consumption of the Paschal Lamb. Let's get into Burke's history and how the Knights of Malta relate to neoconservatism, to the new crusades against Islam, what Seymour Hirsch reported on all of that, and how it relates to the Joint Special Operations Command and all of this ginning up of new hostilities between Christians and Muslims, of trying to create a theocracy out of the West based on Roman Catholicism to peg the West as Edomite Rome, the Amalekites who have to be exterminated. Netanyahu is again bringing the cycle full circle. He's exterminating the Amalekites of Israel as he was commanded to do in the Talmud once the Jews were restored to Palestine. They are setting up to build a third temple of Solomon, another one of their commandments. And the third commandment that they have to do now is to anoint their king Messiah, son of David. Trump and Netanyahu are the Gentile and Jewish aspects of Messiah, son of Joseph, who is to bring the world into war so that the Leviathan and the Behemoth mutually consume each other, to leave the Jews standing alone in Jerusalem and Judea as sole heirs to the world to come. So let's look into Cardinal Raymond Leo the Lion Burke. He is of Irish descent. The Irish, as I've been saying, are associated with Edom because they have red hair. Edom means red. It is the name Adam with the Vav, the serpent letters, the number 6, added to it to represent the descendants of Cain. Cain is the child of Satan and Eve, and therefore had the serpent seed as his root, so that Edom, the word for the red clay, becomes the people of Cain, because Cain has the serpent seed injected into him. Adam is the name that means man, so it is man, but of the bloodline of the serpent, because it has a Vav, the number 6, representing the serpent within the name Adam to render it Edom. So the Irish have red hair, they have a flag with a red hand, palm facing, all of which to the Jews represents the Edomites. So he is also a perfect candidate, an ideal candidate in that respect, and in his representing traditionalism, the full cycle, the Ouroboros of the age of Pisces coming full circle, where the Roman Empire is restored, where Christ returns in the form of the Antichrist as Trump and Netanyahu as Messiah, son of Joseph. Jesus was Messiah, son of Joseph. He inherited the soul of Cain through Esau and Korah, and he is the rebellious leader who rebels against the West by leading it into absolute destruction for the benefit of the Jews. As Caiaphas said, it is the Messiah, son of Joseph, who sacrifices himself to save the entire Jewish nation. That is what Trump and Netanyahu are doing to the West, and that is why they are aiming to restore the Roman Catholic Church to its initial status, going back and bringing it into the age when it destroyed Rome. It is now reversing that to complete the cycle. It is becoming the scapegoat for Israel now. The prosecutor has now become the defense and the advocate for Israel. So the Roman Catholic Church will become the advocate for Israel if Burke is put in and he holds to his crusader roots as a Knight of Malta. He will help foster this anti-Islamic climate in order to get the Leviathan and the Behemoth to devour and consume each other. Raymond Leo the Lion Burke is an American prelate of the Catholic Church. He is a bishop and a cardinal and was a patron of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta from 2014 to 2023. Sovereign Order of Malta, it goes way back to the Crusades. The Order of Malta, Knights of Malta, traditionally of a military, chivalric, and noble nature. Its nature is to be the Crusaders in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, founded in 1099, related to a hospital that was set up there. And Seymour Hirsch gave a speech, I think it was in Qatar. Seymour Hirsch, military branch being run by Crusaders, and this relates directly to the restoration of neoconservative under the neocon Trump and getting Catholic people involved in this as representing the Knights of Malta and the restoration of the Crusaders to take Jerusalem for the benefit of the Jews, as the initial Crusades were really covertly all about. They only persecuted the Jews to incentivize them to move to Jerusalem and to Judea once the Crusaders had taken it over. Seymour Hirsch, military branch being run by Crusaders. Yeah, it was in 2011. Seymour Hirsch alleged in a speech in Qatar that the key branches of the U.S. military are being led by Christian fundamentalist crusaders who are determined to turn mosques into cathedrals. What we are really talking about is how 8 or 9 neoconservatives, radicals, if you will, overthrew the American government, and Hirsch is pointing out their links through the Joint Specials Operation Command, Military Special Forces Branch, secret missions to kill American targets, supports changing mosques into cathedrals. Hirsch also said that Stanley McChrystal, who headed the Joint Special Operations Command before his tenure as the top general in Afghanistan, as well as his successor and many other JSOC members, are all members of, or at least supporters of, Knights of Malta, as is Cardinal Raymond Burke. Sovereign Order of Malta, a Catholic organization. Many of them are members of Opus Dei. They see what they're doing. It's a crusade, literally. They see themselves as the protector of the Christians. They're protecting them from the Muslims, as in the 13th century, and this is their function. So we could very well see a restoration of that. We are seeing a restoration of that in this Catholic Christian nationalism. And I suspect that if this guy gets in, or really whoever gets in, they're going to try to scapegoat Rome and Roman Catholicism and the West and America for all the heinous things that Israel has done, as they have been doing for a very long time, at least ever since I got into investigating, ever since I've become an internet personality discussing these issues. I have seen people scapegoating the Roman Catholic Church, the Black Pope, the Jesuits, for all the things that the Israelis are doing, and portraying the Israelis as if victims of all this, and the worst victims of all this, and scapegoating the Catholics for everything that's been going on that is negative. So as I was saying in my Twitter posts leading up to the Pope's death, he was ill. It was obvious that he was going to pass away soon. If they replace Pope Francis with Cardinal Raymond Burke, an American, and he restores the Latin Roman Mass, that would place us on the genocide. That would place on us the genocidal stigmata of the West as Edomite, Amalekite Rome, to genocide us in the end times, which are the beginning of the world to come. I said that back on February 22nd. Burke's theology aligns with Trump's pandering to Christians to get them to support Israel's apocalyptic messianic plans for world conquest and the extermination of the Amalekites, in this instance Christians, in the name of rejecting LGBTQ+. Yeah, he's against that agenda. Christians are empowering the enemy to exterminate Christians, which was always the plan for Christianity from the beginning. Burke is a perfect fit for the role of defining the West, and especially America, as Rome, Edom, Amalek, whom the enemy is commanded to exterminate. U.S., Malta, Latin Mass, traditionalism, anti-abortion, anti-homosexuality, and androgyny all fits perfectly with Trump and Musk. All those issues they only adopt so that they can pander to a base to get them to support their own destruction. This is Straussianism from Leo Strauss. They lie to their base, pretend that they represent the interests of their base only so that they can ultimately betray and destroy their base once their base gets them elected into power. This is precisely what the neoconservatives did with the evangelical Christians, and now they are latching on to the Roman Catholics because it so perfectly fits in with their agenda to bring the cycle of the age of Pisces full circle and to its culmination, where everything gets reversed, and now it is Rome that is destroyed instead of Judea, and it is the Edomite, Amalekite Romans who are exterminated instead of the Jews being eradicated by the diaspora and the exile. Right after I started talking about this, Steve Bannon started mentioning it, and he did a show, I think, the next day, but he also said that traditional Catholics have the Israelis' backs, as I pointed out. If you're interested in all these subjects, I have a video I made back on September 21st, 2022, where I was talking about the fact that there have been 14 Jewish popes, including the only female Jewish pope and the very first Pope, Rabbi Peter, Simon Peter the Rock, who was the subversive agent of the Jews to destroy the Roman Empire from within. So to summarize it again, they are portraying America as Edom, as the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. Europeans are the reincarnated souls of the Romans who have to be destroyed because they owe a debt to the Jews for the diaspora, for the exile, for the destruction of the temple, for embracing Satan in the form of Jesus Christ, for playing the roles of Satan as the accuser prosecutor and punisher of the Jews to keep them from assimilating as they entered into Rome and as they subverted the empire and used it to conquer all the world, to destroy paganism around the world, to form a global empire that they were always in control of and would usurp at the end and use it for their ends, to bring it into a war with the behemoth forces so that the two forces mutually consume each other. It was Jews who created the system of mutually assured destruction between the East and the West, the Leviathan and the Behemoth, the Atlanticist and the Eurasianists, so that we could all kill each other off for their benefit, to leave them standing alone in Jerusalem and in Judea, so that their King Messiah, son of David, can rule the world from Jerusalem, so that they can build the third temple on Temple Mount. They are trolling the Muslims with video showing the destruction of the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque and its replacement by the third temple. I observed anecdotally on Easter that my X feed was being fed many tweets related to Catholics doing penance and doing all kinds of bizarre, submissive, crawling on their knees rituals. I didn't see anything about Protestants celebrating Easter. It seemed to me that X was boosting and hyping the rise of the Roman Catholics. There were many posts talking about how all Christians had to become Catholics, how the number of Catholics is growing. It is especially growing in the global South. And what they are doing is having the age of Pisces complete its cycle of the Romans destroying Judea, sending the Jews into the exile in the Roman Empire, them subverting the Roman Empire and the world, destroying paganism, making Satan the chief god of the Gentiles in the form of Christianity, setting up the war between Christendom, the Leviathan, and Islam, the Behemoth. All of that took place in the age of Pisces. The creation of the system of mutually assured destruction was created by Jews in the Manhattan Project, and Jewish spies, including Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, gave that technology to the Russians, to the Behemoth, so that we then could mutually annihilate one another. This was a plan that is at least as old as the creation of the book of Job, that manifested in the foundation of Christianity and Christian mythology and Islam and Islamic mythology. Muhammad had 2 Jewish wives, and I've gone over all of that many times. I don't mean to digress. We're going to see if Burke is elected Pope, if he's going to be the American Cardinal of Irish descent to bring America fully into the Edomite Roman Empire of Roman Catholicism. Will he restore the Latin Roman Mass? Will he help promote Christian nationalism? Will he be a crusader of the Knights of Malta, sponsoring attacks between Christians and Muslims? Will he serve as the ideal scapegoat on all the influencer mafia paid propagandists who get boosted all over X? Oh boy, I sure remember after 9/11 how they were trying to scapegoat the Black Pope and the Roman Catholics for everything that Israel had done, and there may well be a strong resurgence of that. But it's also going to be dampened by the fact that they want to promote the Catholics because they want to hype and boost the idea that America is Edom, that America is Rome, that Americans are the Amalekites, the hardest, densest shell of the Kelly pot to protect and serve Israel, attacking Islam, so that Islam and its Marxist sponsors can then shatter the shell of America, and America will be annihilated and discarded through its defense of Israel. That has always been the ancient plan. That has been the 2,500-year-old plan. And that is why they set the Romans up with Christianity in the beginning of the age of Pisces. And now that the age of Pisces is either over or about to be over, they are completing the Ouroboros. They are completing the cycle of this age, which completes the greater cycle of the season of the zodiac of the 3 ages of Aries, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, the 6 days of creation, the 6,000 years of creation have now been fulfilled, and that complete cycle has to be completed so that the present world is destroyed. And the present world is to be destroyed through the battle of Gog and Magog, in which the Leviathan of the West, of Roman Catholicism, of Edomite America, is consumed by fighting and battling the behemoth of the Eurasianists, the Atlanticist, sea-bearing Leviathan, against the land forces of the behemoth of the Muslims and the Marxists. So we'll see if it comes about. We'll see if they elect Cardinal Raymond Burke. And if they do, I wanted to give the world a heads up as to what all that portends in terms of this whole scheme, this whole plan, this whole ancient mythology of apocalyptic, messianic, Judaic prophecy coming to fruition and fulfillment as we speak. I want to thank all of my sponsors who have enabled me to make this presentation for all you good folks. If you would like to help and contribute, you can do so at my website, CJBbooks.com. I have PayPal links where you can contribute. I have Bitcoin and Ethereum cryptocurrency contribution links at my website, and I have Buy Me a Coffee, which is a convenient way to contribute. I deeply want to thank all the people who have. You are keeping me going, and in this fight, this struggle for survival. And look forward to some new, very stunning, very striking videos I'm planning to make. Please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss those. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see all you good people next time. Beware the coming crusades. Beware the world to come.